Hello everybody, I am Jedi JAC Penguin, and today I'm sharing my thoughts and predictions on what we could see from LEGO Harry Potter in the year 2022. Again, I have to stress that these are just my thoughts and predictions, shouldn't be too long before we know for sure what we'll be seeing next year in 2022. So to start us off, I thought we'd talk about the possibilities of another January wave. There is a small possibility that we just got those sets this year because it is the 20th anniversary. Considering how those sets sold, it's likely that we won't be seeing any more book gimmicks. But even so, I did want to plan out what another wave of them could look like if we do see any more. So for the first of the book gimmicks, we have the Hogwarts Moment Defense Against the Dark Arts Classroom. This, I think, would include minifigures of Gilderoy Lockhart, Hermione Granger, and Neville Longbottom, as well as those new Cornish pixie molds that we just recently saw this year. I think that would be a great opportunity to get Lockhart in a new outfit compared to the one that we saw in Diagon Alley, as well as the Hogwarts Chamber of Secrets set, as well as giving us probably a new variant of Neville to go along with the scene with the Cornish pixies, which would be very nice to see. And of course, we'll have a classroom layout. If anything, that is probably the one book gimmick listed here that would definitely make the cut. Next, we have Hogwarts Moment Astronomy, which I would include Professor Sinistra, probably a different version compared to the one that we actually got within the Hogwarts Chamber of Secrets, but probably keeping the same hair hat combo and facial expression. And for our students, I'd include Lavender Brown from Gryffindor and Pansy Parkinson from Slytherin, who would be our new characters within this set. Moving on to the Hogwarts Moment Divination class, this set I would think would include Professor Trelawney, as well as Harry Potter and Ron Weasley, probably being our first Hogwarts Moment set to include year 3 students, just switching it up slightly a little bit. This one I think would also have a very great chance of happening. Not only would this be a great way to get a new version of Professor Trelawney since the last collectible minifigure series, but you get 2 of your main characters, Harry and Ron, and a very nice setup for the Divination Classroom, which I would really love to see represented in LEGO form again. And lastly, for this gimmick list, I have listed the Hogwarts Moment Care of Magical Creatures Classroom, which technically really isn't even a classroom. And for our minifigures, I have some rather odd choices. In particular, we have Professor Grubbly Plank, who I would love to see LEGO make, but it's more likely that they'd put Hagrid in this set because Grubbly Plank is not really well known. We really hear more about her in the books compared to the movies, where we see some split seconds of her sitting up at the Great Hall table. Along with her minifigure, I also decided to include Draco Malfoy, as well as one of the Patil twins in this set, just so then we have a character from each house represented within each set, though I actually just noticed that I did not include any Hufflepuffs, so maybe I'd put Justin Finch-Fletchley in place of one of the other Gryffindor characters. Another quick thing I might as well add when it comes to the Care of Magical Creatures set, I would love to see them, if they do include Grubbly Plank, to have them studying either unicorns or bowtruckles. That would be really great to see. Or if it is indeed Hagrid, I would like to see something different than just having Buckbeak. Would be interesting to see LEGO's take on Blast-Ended Scroots, even though we did see it in the 3DS or DS versions of the video game. Following the trend of the last 2 years, I would also expect to see a new Polybag. Considering we saw Harry for the first 2 and Hermione just this year, I would think that we would see a Polybag with Ron in it at some point in 2022. After a bit of thinking, I came up with Ron's Food Buffet. At a regular polybag price of $4.99, including another buildable dinner table, LEGO's famous for including those, and of course our minifigure of Ron Weasley, probably from year 1, just to continue that trend. Another trend that will hopefully continue into 2022 will be our $15 minifigure accessory pack. LEGO, please don't disappoint us. You know we all want a Quidditch opponent's accessory set. I would think, realistically, we should see minifigures of Harry Potter, Draco Malfoy, Cho Chang, and Cedric Diggory, as they are the core seekers for each house. Though if LEGO is smart, and I know they are 96% of the time, I would want to see some of the obscure characters like maybe Ron Weasley or Angelina Johnson for Gryffindor, Zachariah Smith for Hufflepuff. You know, the list goes on for other random characters other than just your typical Harry, Draco, Cedric, and Cho Chang, which they probably won't get right again. This is even their chance to make a new leg print with the knee pads, or even give us the outfits seen in the later films. With all of that out of the way, that brings us to our summer and fall lineup. As I talked earlier, there is a chance that we won't see new sets in January, but then again there's a chance that we could see a normal wave instead of another gimmick line in January 2022. So to keep consistent with years past, I decided to include 8 regular sets in this lineup, 1 advent calendar, and 1 direct-to-consumer. I also decided to follow the events of the 20th anniversary sets, keeping in mind the style of the new Hogwarts castle system, as well as continuing the story back in the later Harry Potter films. So the smallest set I have on this list at $20, we have the Mirror Room. I imagine this as a small Hogwarts expansion in the scale with the Polyjuice Potion Mistake set, including the Mirror of Erised, as well as probably a small area surrounded by fire. I'd also want to see most of the budget for this set in the build, and as for our minifigures, we would have to see Harry Potter as seen in the Hogwarts Wizard chess set for this year, as well as Professor Quirrell Voldemort, maybe with a new print or two, but likely the same as back in 2018. At $30, I have listed the Quidditch World Cup. This set has been something on my mind a lot lately. I feel if this set doesn't come out next year, it likely never will. For the builds, I see at least 2 tents, a few flags supporting Ireland and Bulgaria, maybe a table, a campfire. For our minifigures, I'd want to see Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, Arthur Weasley, and Amos Diggory, though realistically I think this set would have to include a Death Eater if LEGO were to make it, as much as I would love to get a minifigure for Amos. In a similar vein to Hedwig and Fox from the last 2 years, we have Buckbeak the Hippogriff at $40 to $50. Now compared to those last 2 models, this set will definitely need a different approach with a quadruped instead of just a bird. Like those 2 sets, I'd expect Buckbeak to have a wing flapping feature and a stand for your characters of Hagrid and Buckbeak, reusing the previous versions. Practically copying the name of the 2004 set, at $40 we have Sirius Black's Escape. I want exactly that. One of the higher towers in Hogwarts Castle with a spot to lock up Sirius, able to connect to the other released expansions, probably including minifigures of Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, Sirius Black a Dementor, as well as Buckbeak the Hippogriff. At $60, this has to happen sooner rather than later. Even if it does happen as a direct-to-consumer, we have the Battle of the Department of Mysteries. I would want this to include the Archway Vale where Sirius dies, as well as a few shelves with prophecies, some play area for your characters to fight. Minifigures I'd want to see included in the set are Harry Potter, Neville Longbottom, Sirius Black, Lucius Malfoy, as well as Bellatrix Lestrange. I think that this set would do very well. We are well due for a Ministry of Magic set, and even though this doesn't go along with a lot of the other sets in the wave, it's something that is really necessary for LEGO to make in the future of the LEGO Harry Potter line. Hogwarts makes its appearance again at $80. This expansion I would want to fit in with what we got in the 20th anniversary wave, as well as leave room for what's to come in the next year at least. One location in particular that needs to be seen in here has to be the statue of the One-Eyed Witch to get into Honeydukes, which we actually got in 2021, so I think that this would be a great move, as unfortunate as it is that Honeydukes itself does not include that secret doorway. I'd also want to see Lupin's classroom or office represented, the divination classroom, the hospital wing, even though Madame Pomfrey didn't make my minifigure lineup. Overall, I don't think that they'd be able to fit all of that into an $80 set, but this is what I'd expect to see in a big Hogwarts expansion for next year. As for our minifigures, I'd want to see Harry Potter, Neville Longbottom, Draco Malfoy, Professor Lupin, Professor Trelawney, Albus Dumbledore, and the One-Eyed Witch statue. One of the remakes that would make everyone happy would be the Shrieking Shack that I placed at $100 so we can get the restoration it deserves. I can see this location being as impressive of a build as the 2020 Burrow. I also know that compared to 2004, LEGO will have a better idea of what they're doing and give us a proper interior, preferably with a lot going on. In this set, I expect to see minifigures of Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, Hermione Granger, Sirius Black, Remus Lupin, Peter Pettigrew, Severus Snape, and 1 to 2 Dementors. Additionally, I would also want to see the transformation of the 3 Marauders included. And lastly, for our regular retail sets, I have the Lake Task and Durmstrang ship at $120. This is another big set that we should have seen sooner to coincide with the Beauxbaton carriage in 2019. For the lake, I would want to see a location to hold the hostages for the challenge, maybe some underwater plants too. For the Durmstrang ship, I would want them to go all out and make it bigger and more impressive than the last. As for our minifigures, I would want to see Harry Potter, Cedric Diggory, Victor Crumb, Fleur Delacour all inside their outfits when they're going into the lake. I would also want to see our hostages of Ron Weasley, Hermione Granger, Cho Chang, Gabrielle Delacour. Additionally, we have to see Igor Karkaroff for the second time in LEGO form in this set to go along with the Durmstrang ship. That would be very nice to see, as well as a merperson just to keep things in check down in the lake. Now, you may be thinking that's a lot of figures, but you have to remember that this is LEGO Harry Potter and they aren't as chintzy with the figures as they are in some other themes. To wrap up this video, next year I would expect to see our 4th Advent calendar set. Personally, the one scene I want more than any other right now for an Advent calendar is Christmas at 12 Grimmauld Place. Yes, I'd rather see this as a direct-to-consumer, but I think this has to be one of their best options for a new Advent calendar. Only thing is, there may be too many new prints here needed for the minifigures that I listed as Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, Hermione Granger, Sirius Black, Arthur Weasley, and Molly Weasley. And like all the previous Advent calendars, I would expect this to retail at $40. Saving the obvious for last, there are only so many options left for Harry Potter direct-to-consumers. See my video on this topic coming in the next few weeks. But what I and many others want now more than anything would be Gringotts Wizarding Bank. I would want this set to be based off Harry Potter in general, just like the 2020 Diagon Alley set. Unlike that set, however, I would want it to have a fold-out interior. I still don't quite know how they could pull off the underground vaults in this set, but no doubt they'll figure it out. Necessary vaults to be included are Vault 713, Harry's own vault, as well as the one owned by the Lestranges. I'd also want to see the main hallway represented with the path leading from the front door to the head goblin, surrounded by other workers, possibly a few carts full of golden coins and bars. Another necessary side build here has to be the Ukrainian iron-bellied dragon. I would think that this, like the 2019 Horntail, would be brick built, but considerably bigger than the Horntail with new molds for the head. Now for our minifigures, I'd expect to see Harry Potter from year 1, Rubeus Hagrid, Griphook, which I don't know if they'd make 2 versions to represent each movie, Harry Potter from year 7, Ron Weasley who can transform into Dragomir Despard, Hermione Granger who can turn into Bellatrix Lestrange, Bogrod who's the goblin who brings them to the Lestrange Vault, and maybe a few other random goblins, 2 or 3, and some security wizards for inside the bank. Personally, I don't see this set being any cheaper than $200. Hopefully LEGO sees how much we want to see this set and they make it, but as of recording this video, the designers have already stated in numerous interviews that they have no intention of making it yet, unfortunately. I hope you all enjoyed my thoughts and predictions regarding LEGO Harry Potter in 2022. Would be very cool to see if some of these turn out to be true. Otherwise, leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Which one of these sets would you want to see the most? Do you agree with my list? Tell me in the comments below. I would love to hear it. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell icon so every time I upload a new video. So yeah, that's it for now, and I will see you next time. Bye!